Shalom, this is Nafim Kaplan from Moral Clarity, and I'm going to talk about a BBC story which shows precisely why the BBC is a Tier 1 failure when it comes to covering Israel. I do not mind telling you that I do not just dislike the BBC. I loathe it to a degree that is unhealthy. I want bad things to befall it. I want a meteorite to hit it. The story in question was published on August 1 and titled Israeli West Bank Settler Tells BBC Attacks on Palestinians Are Justified as Revenge. I'll link to the story below so you can read it. You can read it if your time has no value or self-harm. Here's your thing. Basically, BBC journalist / hack Lucy Williamson goes to an illegal Jewish outpost in Judea and Samaria, interviews a Jewish extremist, and then feigns shock that the extremist is, well, extreme. It is comically poor journalism. The BBC even boasts that it is rare for an international media organisation like the BBC to be allowed into these outposts. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Would you allow someone who wanted to defame you to an audience of millions into your house? I think not. I receive emails almost weekly from readers in official settlements, so I can tell you that getting them to talk to you is not hard at all if you're not an institutionally racist, poorly edited foreign news service run by irredeemable schmucks. I can also tell you that settlers hold a diverse range of political views, which should surprise no one with a brain. As if all members of any 500,000-person community, that's 10% of Israel's total population, would think the same thing. Just because everybody thinks exactly the same thing at the BBC, it doesn't mean that the rest of the world is like that. The settler interviewed, who was a Jewish supremacist, said that one Jewish life was worth 10 million Palestinian lives. It is distasteful, but as I said, extremists hold extreme positions. The part that amused me was that I could feel the BBC hack bristling with rage that somebody had said such a thing out loud. The speech police can tolerate whatever bloodthirsty thing you think. It's the act of saying it that drives them nuts. Okay, that's the seeds of the totalitarianism is right there. The BBC then generously notes that many Israelis reject such extreme views. Many Israelis. Now, how's that for the understatement of the millennium? The vast, staggering, overwhelming majority of Israelis, including settlers in Judea and Samaria, believe no such thing and find such views abhorrent. The BBC would know this if it bothered to speak to them instead of crazy zealots like they chose to do. We are then told that many settlers in Judea and Samaria believe the area was given to the Jewish people by God. Now that might sound crazy to you, in the same way that reading or watching the BBC seems fucking insane to me. Yet no matter what you believe, this is hardly a newsflash. It has said that in the Christian Bible for 2,000 years, and the Torah for millennia longer. Yet this foundational teaching of Western civilization is presented as some startling shock. The unaccountable British broadcaster then declares that Israel settlements, official ones and outposts, are illegal under international law. Wrong. Wrong. Humiliatingly wrong. The outposts are illegal under Israeli law, and the official settlements are disputed, not illegal. The BBC knows this, as do all literate people who have made any effort at all. The story is lazy and malignant, something the BBC manages to achieve simultaneously. Repeating something like a pirate's parrot does not make it true. The territory is disputed. Now, I've got no time for vigilantism or Jewish violence. Neither should be tolerated, and Israel does a deliberately poor job of policing this. This needs to change. However, I also have a respect for facts. The facts are that there are extremists on both sides in Judea and Samaria, and the Palestinian ones outnumber the Jewish ones so greatly it is laughable when you hear it. The BBC loves to talk about how this is a record year for Jewish attacks against Palestinians, which is true enough. Missing from their reporting, however, is a small detail that Palestinian attacks on Jews outnumber Jewish attacks by a factor of 6 to 1. You heard that right. There are 6 times more Palestinian attacks against Jews than Jews against Palestinians. And this gets almost no news coverage at all from the dishonest BBC and its like. This continuous jihadist violence against Jews does not concern the BBC at all. There is a word for this: anti-Semitism, or Jew hatred. We must not allow it to be called anything else or allow it to hide under any other name. The Settler interview then accused the global media of buying the narrative of the Palestinians, alleging that every Palestinian in the area owned 2 guns and was preparing to repeat Hamas-led attacks of October 7, 2023. This statement is absolutely, uncontroversially true. Most Palestinians supported the October 7 massacre, especially in Judea and Samaria, according to the Palestinians' own polling. The Palestinian Authority, which is supposed to govern the area, has been too scared to hold elections for 20 years because it feared Hamas would win. Hamas are Islamist extremists who want to exterminate all Jews and Christians and secular people, build a caliphate, and ultimately destroy the West. It is just like ISIS. That millions believe this and report this from the womb, and that this gets ignored while a tiny majority of Jewish extremists get the spotlight, ought to be an enormous scandal. There is a Jewish extremist. Oh, how shocking! There are a couple of million Islamist Palestinian whack jobs. Free pass. The BBC has no shame. Palestinian groups in Judea and Samaria are armed to the teeth, and at some point Israel's going to have to do something about it to avoid October 7 coming from there. The Settler said, quote, "If we don't wake up and drop them all from this area, from all areas of Israel, even Gaza too, they will come back and come back again," he said. His solution is unquestionably appalling, but his assessment of the risk is spot-on accurate. If you cannot distinguish the difference, you should not be writing about this topic because it is beyond you, and you should probably add more fish oil to your diet for your brain. The Settler also said, but this is the truth, because God chose us, because of this, you are jealous. He did not articulate this very well, but he's not fully wrong. Both Christians and Jews have spent centuries persecuting and murdering Jews because Jewish survival and success suggests to certain religious minds that Jewish theology is correct, which is a problem for Christian and Islamic teachings. That, folks, is the crux of the matter. This is Nachum Kaplan from Moral Clarity, and until next time, stay well and stay on the side of light.